All right, great series. We're up to 1999. And the 1999 series I've chosen is Colorado against Detroit. Now, of course, the Dallas Stars would end up winning the Stanley Cup. Part of the way that the Dallas Stars end up winning it, they didn't have to play Detroit. Colorado did Dallas a favor there, and then Colorado had a great series against Dallas after that. But this was a second round matchup. Now, Detroit to get here, they swept Anaheim in the first round. And for Colorado, they beat San Jose in 6, and then they would lose in 7 against the Dallas Stars in the conference finals. So this was an interesting series because keep in mind, Detroit, they won in 96, they won in 97, or they won in 97, I should say, they won in 98. It was Colorado won in 96. So this is a matchup between teams that had won the Stanley Cup in the last 3 years. And so this was a feud. This was a fight. These were teams that didn't like each other, meeting again in the playoffs. And nobody complained they were meeting each other again. Not at all. So Detroit had gone 43, 32, and 7. They were third in goals with 245. They were ninth in goals against with 202. Colorado, 44, 28, and 10 overall. 239 goals for, which was fifth in the NHL. 205 goals against, which is 11th. Only 6 goals difference in goals for, only 3 goals difference in goals against. Very, very closely matched teams between these two. Now, the series did feature Colorado having home ice advantage. The thing is, Colorado didn't assert home ice advantage right out of the gate. In fact, it looked like Detroit was going to run away with this series early on. The interesting part is, it's Bill Ranford starting for Detroit because Chris Osgood was hurt. So there were comments about Osgood being hurt, Larionov being hurt, and whether or not Detroit was just kind of sort of getting old. And maybe this was a sign that Detroit was finally on the downswing, but it didn't look that way early on. Game 1 in Denver. Power play goal by Yzerman from Lidstrom and Chelios at 3 minutes and 54 seconds. That lead lasts till around the halfway mark. When power play goal from Theoren Fleury, Forsberg and Deadmarsh with the assists at 10:51. And then Deadmarsh would put Colorado in the lead. Foote and Hunter with the assists at 12:34. That's Dale Hunter. And it's 2-1 for Colorado. Second period. It's a tie game after the second thanks to a power play goal by Vyacheslav Kozlov or Slava Kozlov from Fedorov and Lidstrom at 16 minutes and 30 seconds. We have no scoring in the third period. We go to overtime. Overtime in Denver. It's Kirk Maltby from Draper and McCarty. And that's at 4:18. So relatively early in an overtime. And Ranford, 37 saves on 39 shots in the victory. Patrick Waugh, 31 saves on 34 shots in the loss. So for Ranford, had to be feeling like it was 1990 all over again. Like, all right, I can do this. Much like he did for Edmonton in 1990. 99, we'll see. So game 2, again in Colorado. And it's Yzerman scoring from Fedorov and Shanahan at 6 minutes and 11 seconds. This is a stacked Detroit lineup. They're up 1-0 after the first period. Second period, Yzerman scores again. Shanahan and Holmstrom with the assists at 5:35. It's 2-0 Detroit. And then in the third, power play goal from Nick Lidstrom, followed by a power play goal by Wendell Clark from Lidstrom and Kozlov at 11:23. Wendell Clark with the Detroit Red Wings. Yep, it happened. And Ranford saves 28 saves. That's a shutout. So he allowed 2 goals in the first 2 games. Patrick Waugh, 33 saves on 37 shots. It looks like the Detroit Red Wings are ready to potentially sweep Colorado. So with Game 3 at home, early on in the game, things look pretty good for Detroit. It's Steve Yzerman scoring from Holmstrom and Samuelsson. That's Alfie Samuelsson at 7 minutes and 7 seconds. 1-0 Detroit. But Colorado, a lot of fight in the Avs. Power play goal by Claude Lemieux from Forsberg and Sakic at 11 minutes. And then Fleury scores from Ozolinsh and Forsberg at 16:59. It's 2-1 Colorado after 1. Second period. Dale Hunter scores from Kamensky and Patrick Waugh at 2 minutes and 50 seconds. And then it's Chris Drury scoring from Miller and Podine at 3:42. That's Aaron Miller. And then Aaron Miller adds a goal from Fleury at 5:05. So Theoren Fleury on the board with a goal and an assist. And it's 5-1 Colorado. Holmstrom would score from Shanahan and Yzerman at 9:09. Third period, they get close. A power play goal by Kozlov from Chelios and Brown, but it's at 19:25. So that makes it 5-3. That's your final score. Patrick Waugh saves 44 out of 47 in the win. Bill Ranford saves 19 out of 24. He's taken out of the game. Norm Miracle goes in, and Miracle, 12 saves on 12 shots after he goes in. So we go to game 4. Again, we're in Detroit. And again, it's Bill Ranford that's going to start the game. Drury scores in the first from Ozolinsh and Deadmarsh at 1:28. So early on, Colorado scores. And so Ranford, who stole a game in Colorado and was excellent in the first 2 games, is struggling in Detroit. Second period, Deadmarsh scores from Drury and Clem at 7:07, and then a power play goal by Hayduk from Forsberg and Lemieux at 14:04. At that stage, they trade out goalies again. So that's the end of the night for Ranford, and Miracle goes into net. And we go into the third period, still 3-0. Forsberg scores at 8:21 to make it 4-0. Then we get a power play goal. Kamensky from Ozolinsh and Miller at 11:28. So Aaron Miller having a pretty good series. The Detroit Red Wings would get on the board. Power play goal, Kozlov from Fedorov and Murphy at 14:30. Deadmarsh restores the big lead with the 6th goal of the game for the Colorado Avalanche from Hayduk at 16:36. And then in the last minute, Slava Kozlov gets a goal from Samuelson and Murphy at 19:17. Your final score 6-2 for Colorado. Patrick Waugh, 31 saves on 33 shots. Ranford saves 11 out of 14. Miracle saves 7 out of 10. And this is a team that needs their goalie back. So Osgood's back for the next game. So we're going into game 5. Series is tied, and Osgood's back. First period, Odgers scores from Hunter and Reichel at 11:06. 1-0 Colorado after 1. Second period, Deadmarsh would score from Forsberg and Claude Lemieux at 4:23 to make it 2-0. And then Forsberg on the power play from Lemieux and Ozolinsh at 7:19 makes it 3-0. Third period, no scoring there. And so Chris Osgood comes back, saves 23 out of 26, but Detroit doesn't manage a goal. Patrick Waugh, 36 saves on 36 shots, playing in a playoff game like we expect Patrick Waugh to do. And now Colorado's won 3 in a row after dropping the first 2. So Detroit, it looked like early on they could run Colorado out of the rink. Ranford might be looking at another Stanley Cup ring and heroism being, discussed with him and all of this. And now we're going into a game 6 in Detroit, and Detroit must win. They have lost at home 5-3 and 6-2, and now they're trying to avoid the same fate in game 6. First period, it's Forsberg from Kamensky and Lemieux at 16:15. It's 1-0 Colorado after 1. And then in the second period, it is a rapid descent downhill for the Detroit Red Wings against the Avalanche. So Hayduk scores from Miller at 4:12. Drury then scores from Kamensky and Lefebvre at 5:46. Those are 2 goals close together. It's 3-0 Colorado. And at this point, you're already planning your trip to Dallas. Shorthanded goal then by Sakic from Deadmarsh at 8:14. Power play goal from Lidstrom would make it 4-1 from Yzerman at 17:24. And then about 30 seconds later, McCarty scores from Gill and Shanahan at 17:53. So maybe you go into that third period, you're down 4-2. But in the third period, Patrick Waugh holds, and Forsberg would put that final nail in the coffin at 13:31. The Colorado Avalanche win 5-2, and they win the series. Patrick Waugh, 35 saves on 37 shots in the win. Osgood saves 26 out of 31 in the loss. And there are certainly a lot of comments at that stage about whether or not Detroit, who are going for their third straight Stanley Cup. They won it in 97. They won it in 98. Maybe they're running out of gas. Maybe this is it. Maybe they're done. And, of course, we know they're not done. We know they'd win another Stanley Cup. But it was always the conversation with Detroit. They're just too old, gosh darn it. They're not going to make it. They're not going to keep winning. And then somehow they found a way to do it. Now, in this series, Forsberg, 4 goals and 5 assists. So it's one of those series where Forsberg's fantastic. Deadmarsh, 4 goals, 3 assists. You want to talk about why I talk about Adam Deadmarsh, why I'm a huge Adam Deadmarsh fan? Series like this is why. Big games, you need a goal, you need a point, you need a big moment. Deadmarsh was capable of creating it. Claude Lemieux, a goal and 4 assists. Chris Drury, 3 goals and an assist. Kamensky, 4 games played, so he missed 2 games in this series. 1 goal, 3 assists in the games he played. Ozolinsh had 4 assists. Theron Fleury had 2 goals and an assist. And Joe Sakic only had 1 goal, 1 assist. They kept Sakic off the board pretty darn well. Couldn't win. Couldn't knock him out. Patrick Waugh, 4-2 with a .938 save percentage. Yeah, to me he was the best goalie I ever saw. On the other side of things, Yzerman had 4 goals and 2 assists in the 6-game series. Kozlov 4 goals and an assist. Lidstrom 2 goals and 3 assists, was a minus in the series actually. Shanahan 4 assists. Holmstrom 1 goal 2 assists, and Sergei Fedorov only had 3 helpers in 6 games. Ranford went 2-2 with a .905 save percentage. Osgood was 0-2 with an .860 save percentage. And then Miracle, no record for him, and an .864 save percentage. So honestly, this was a very interesting series. And when I was looking at the 1999 playoffs, I thought, that was a series that didn't get overly violent. This was, another matchup between these two behemoths, these two powers of the 90s, the late 90s and early 2000s. And it's easy to kind of overlook this one. Because, again, that was the year Dallas ends up winning the Stanley Cup. So Colorado moves on to round 3, and they lose in the conference finals against Dallas. And rightfully so, people pointed out, hey, if Detroit played Dallas, Detroit probably would have knocked them out. Yeah, probably, but Colorado knocked them out first. So we'll never know whether or not Dallas might have beaten Detroit that year, but it was an interesting series. So I thought this would be a fun one to take a look at because, again, Ranford starts the first 2 games of the series and looks great, and by the end of the series, the whole conversation's changed to the goaltending just wasn't quite where they needed it to be, even though Ranford gets a shutout in Game 2. So there you go. The 1999 Detroit Red Wings taken out by the Colorado Avalanche. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And yes, that means this is the last one in the 90s. We go into the year 2000 with the next one. I'll wear something really futuristic for that. Just kidding. We know that the 2000 year wasn't nearly as futuristic as we had all thought when we watched movies in the 70s and 80s. It was a great disappointment. But hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.